It's a beautiful day outside. I just went to this photo and video store on Main Street with my dad. I've been getting into film photography. I bought a Canon AE-1 from a pawn shop for $130 after tax. It was in really good condition and it came with a pretty nice lens and a filter and a lens cover. The only thing I don't like about it is the strap that it has attached to it. This is the camera. I left the lens cover at home, that's why I don't have it right now. But it kind of hurts my neck if I'm being honest. It's old, you can tell, it's like cracked. But I think I'm gonna have my Nana make me a strap, like a quilted strap, because she's really into sewing and quilting. And I feel like it would add a little cute personal touch. We went to the film store, the camera store, and I was just planning on looking around and getting 2 rolls of film that I had developed, my first rolls of film. It's probably gonna take a couple of weeks, like 1 to 2 weeks to get them back, but that's okay. I'm not in any rush. I'm only getting them developed because I have a film scanner at home and I would rather have them digitally and then just print them out at Walmart if I want to get it printed out. Here's the haul. I have it in this little baggie that my Nana made. It's cute. I bought a couple of lenses because they had a lot of really cheap and affordable stuff, and I figured, why not? So the first thing that I got is this little shutter holder thingy. It's basically just for like long exposure stuff. I don't have a tripod yet, so I'm not really going to be able to utilize it, but it just gets screwed into this little shutter button right here. I'll show you. Just like this. I want to say it works for multiple different cameras because it doesn't screw in all the way, so if your little shutter hole is bigger than mine, it'll work for it too. Here's the lens that I already have. It's a pretty good lens. Basically, the way that you use this thing, like I said, you would need a tripod because you have to keep your camera still because it's for long exposures. But there is I want to say it's called bulb mode. I always call it bold. I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure it's called bulb. And you just put it on your tripod and then you hold it down for as long as you are going to take your picture for, so that you can get like different cool effects with it. But I know you're probably thinking like, I don't want to hold that down for 15 minutes. Well, it has a lock on it, this little screw right here, so it stays pushed down for you and then you just twist it whenever you want to release it. Pretty nifty, honestly. It's really easy to attach and take off. I also got this little tripod, which I know probably isn't going to work the best for this because it's so heavy. It doesn't look heavy, but the second you pick it up, it's like, wow, this thing is legit. And it is. It really is. It was in really good condition. Whoever had it before me definitely loved it. But the reason that I got this is because I want to buy a digital film camera soon. Not like film, but like recording, just for like videos, because I want to start documenting just my life. I bought this expired film. It was $6. It is Kodak Max 400. I figured, what's the worst that could happen? I looked up what expired film looks like, and honestly, I didn't mind the effects that it gave, so I'm gonna give it a try. I don't know how long ago it expired, so that's the only downside of it. The first lens that I bought was this wide angle lens. It's not like super wide angle, and it's pretty plasticky, but it's a beginner lens, and it was $5, which is crazy. The aperture goes to 2.8 and The zoom is about 7 feet, and then there's the infinity. I got 2 lenses and a lens adapter. The second lens that I got is a 133mm, so it's primarily used for portraits, I want to say. The aperture on this one is also 2.8. The zoom's about 50 feet on this one, 20 meters. It's really nice. I liked it. It's actually funny because while we were in the store, I asked the guy if they had any attachment like lenses for the Canon AE-1, and he pulled out a bunch. They were super helpful and insightful. Look at the aperture on this thing now. Wow. Crazy. So he pulled out a bunch of lenses for me to look at, and the very first ones that caught my eyes, it was this one because it was 135mm and it's short. I don't want like a super long, big, bulky lens. So this thing, I was like, yeah, I like this one and I want to see how much it is, because if it's cheap, I'm gonna get it. And it was, because where he was pulling all the lenses from, they were $5 a pop, which is kind of insane. This one caught my eye because it's a wide angle lens. It's a 49mm, so it's relatively close to the other one that I have. The other one I have is 50mm. It's this one right here. He took this off of one of the other lenses and was like, here, take this for your lenses. And I was like, oh, that was really nice. So basically just goes on the back to protect it. The last thing that I got was this adapter. It's for this lens that I have, which is just your standard 50mm lens. And it's an adapter to make it a 100mm lens, which is really cool. I want to say the total that I paid for all 5 of these, and then including the 2 rolls of film that I got developed, was around like $45, and the film was $10 a piece to be developed. So that comes out to about $25 for all 5 of those, which is ridiculous. So if you're located in Oklahoma, around the Norman area, I definitely recommend that you check out Main Street Photo and Video. The staff is very friendly. They have all kinds of equipment. They had like CD burning, like digital cameras, and all kinds of film cameras, prints you can buy. You can get your film developed there. They even had like digital cameras and stuff. I guess while I'm here, I will show you guys how to attach and detach a lens from a Canon AE-1. Typically they have this, I don't know if they're all like this, but the guy earlier was saying you can tell which ones they are by having this ring right here. So basically you just twist it, unscrew it until the red dots are matched up. So there's one on the lens and then there's one on the camera right here under the Canon, and then it just comes off. So I'll just put on that 100mm extender for an example for you. So you line the red dot right here up with a little screw that's inside of here, and then like I said, you line the little red dot here up with this red dot, and then you rotate it. You just tighten it like a screw. That's when you would get your other lens. And I actually haven't done this yet, but I want to say it's the exact same as putting this lens onto this camera. So you line up the 2 red dots. A little basic rundown of how this camera works. This is your shutter button. This right here is just in neutral position, so you can take pictures, this, that, and other. Whenever you flick this little thing forward and you see this little red light, that's your self timer. So once you hit the shutter button, it'll start blinking and you have about 10 seconds to get yourself positioned. When you flip it this way, that's just preventing you from pushing down the shutter button if you've already gotten your film ready for another photo, so you don't accidentally click it if it's in a bag or something. This right here, this is your, I don't know the technical word for it, but your film switch. Basically, you just pull this back like I just showed you. I'll do it again. Pull it back like that, and then it brings your film to the next slide so you're ready to take another photo. Your little number counter is right here. It shows you how many pictures you've taken so far. Like I said, I don't have any film in here right now, which is why my meter isn't going up. These little numbers on this ring right here, these white ones, that is your shutter speed. So a higher shutter speed you want to have in like brighter light basically is just 1,000th of a second, 500th of a second, 250th of a second, 125th of a second, 60th of a second, 30th of a second, 15th of a second, 1/8 of a second, 1/4 of a second, 1/2 of a second, 1 second, 2 second, and then bulb, which is when you hold it down for like longer exposures with a tripod. These little green numbers right here, this is the ISO or ISO of your film. Typically you want to keep it the same and you don't want to change it while you're shooting. I have this right here, it's just a little slide compartment. It just allows you to put in like what kind of film you're using so that you remember. This little black button right here is the battery check button. So when you hold it down and you look inside of the camera, the little meter, the little thing on the light meter will move, and if it's below the halfway point, that usually indicates that your battery is in good health. This right here, this is your rewind button. So it's how you rewind your film back into its canister after you've finished a roll of film. It has an arrow on it so you know which way to twist it, but basically you just twist it until it doesn't feel tight anymore. Whenever you want to open the back of your camera to expose the film, you just pull up on it and then it pops it open. This is your viewfinder. I don't know the technical name for this, but it's how you attach accessories like a flash. This here is your battery compartment. They are very sensitive and there's a circuit here. So if you're not careful with it, you can break the door latch and potentially even destroy the circuit, which will ruin your camera. This little black button on the side is just for the light meter, same as if you were to half press the shutter button. This button here, I'm not sure what it does off the top of my head, but I'll put it here. This, I believe, is to connect your flash. So this, you would just, this is basically like a preview of the like focal length of your camera or what your photo is gonna look like. This button on the bottom here is the rewind button. So before you can rewind your film back into the camera, like I showed, you need to press this button here. And that's also what you use if you're wanting to take a double exposure. So if you're wanting to take a double exposure photo, basically what you would do, you would take your first picture, which would be like a high contrast, like texture, and then you would press the rewind button. You'll hear a small little click, and then you hold down on this so that it doesn't move, aka the film doesn't actually move. When you turn this lever, it's allowing you to take another photo on the same slide of film. I haven't done many double exposures, so I can't give you a lot of information on how to do it. This ring here on your lens, this is your aperture ring. You have to manually set it. There is an auto option here. I've never used it, so I don't really know how that works. You can tell what you need your aperture to be based on the light meter on the inside of your camera whenever you're looking through the viewfinder. You can half press the shutter button. If you don't trust yourself with that, you can use the black button on the side. This here is basically your focus ring. So you'll look through your viewfinder and adjust that. There is like a little circle thing on the inside, and it basically splits your image, and you want to twist it so that the image inside of that ring is even and not split. That's how you know your subject is in focus. Can't see, but that's what the ring looks like. That's the light meter. You can see it light up. Forgot to mention earlier, when you are changing your ISO, you do it by lifting this silver ring. So you'll like pull upwards and then you can change it like that. If you don't pull upwards, that'll just change your shutter speed. I think that's about all the information that I have on this camera, but I'm very excited about it. And if you are looking to get into film photography, I recommend it. It's really fun. It's very rewarding. I'm gonna go ahead and show you all how to load your film into your camera. So you pull up on this ring, it opens the back, you insert it like this, and then once you get it in there, you push this back down to hold the film cartridge in place. You pull it, and then you insert it into one of these little slots in this thing right here. When you get your film in there, you want to make sure that these little grates are in the slots of the film. When you wound your film, it stays in there and continues to roll up. Go ahead and close it. When you wind it, you want to make sure that this little wheel right here turns every time you move this thing. And then you want to do this 3 times just so that whenever you take a picture, your film isn't burned from the light. Okay, now it's turning, so that's my indicator that it's in there properly. I'm just gonna go ahead and shutter one more time, and then I'm gonna reload it, and you'll see this little thing turn, just like that. And then you're ready to take pictures. Pretty sweet.